Hey there. In this video, we're going to take a more in-depth look into adding grades into the gradebook. And we're going to look into a couple things like adding individual grades, omitting some grades, and what happens when you change a learning objective from the last mode to mean mode. So let's get into it. Okay, let's go back to assessments. Let's add in another one. Let's do test 3. Do these two again. We'll do it on the 8th this time. We'll publish it. Okay, now let's add the grades. Let's do this, extending. So students are getting really good at fraction 1. And this one we'll do, let's do this. Let's do a bunch of developing. Wayne Gretzky, though, I'm going to leave 3 dashes. 3 dashes for an individual grade is an omit. So let's take a look what will happen there. Go back to the gradebook. Math 8. Okay, so everybody has extending for fraction 1. And fraction 2, everybody has developing except for Wayne, because the second time he did it, it was omitted. So his latest score for fraction 2 is still extending. So Wayne is truly amazing. Let's add some more here. Let's do test 4. Test 4 is just going to be fraction 2. And we'll make this one on the 9th. We'll publish it. Enter in some grades. So maybe this time I'll do, let's do extending. Oops. So back to the gradebook. That's what you'd expect to see. Let's do one more. Let's do test 5. And once again, fraction 2 only. And this one will be on the 10th. Publish it. Okay, let's enter these grades again. Now we're going to do, everybody bombed it. Everybody, even Wayne. Oops. Back to the gradebook. It's what you'd expect to see. However, let's try something new here. Let's take another look at fraction 2. And the mode it is in last. So it's always picking the last grade, the most recent grade. Let's change this to mean. And what that's going to do, it's going to calculate the mean of the latest 4. So let's go to Gradebook now and see what happens. Math 8. Oh, there we go. So on average, these students, most of these students were developing on average with their latest 4. Wayne, he was always a little bit better with his latest 4, so he did applying on average with the latest 4. Let's take a look at their individual grades. So I'll go into Catherine. If you notice here, Catherine, there's an overall estimated proficiency scale, but no letter grade, and that matches what we had in the setup for the student view. So this is the same as the student view here. This is what Catherine would see when she logs into her Smartmark. The latest progress she did was beginning, but when we look at the latest 4 assessments, we can see that she did developing, extending, and beginning, and that averaged out to developing. So this latest of mean of the latest 4 is nice for learning objectives where you do them repeatedly several times. Fraction 1 is just the latest, so it's just going to be extending. We take a look at Wayne. Wayne's is going to be slightly different. His latest 4 assessments for that, actually he only had 3 because the first one was omitted, or the second one was omitted. So his average is out pretty high. He had 2 extendings and 1 beginning, so it averaged out to applying, I think it said, right? Yeah. So that's kind of the difference between last and mean for grade mode. And I think that's kind of it for the gradebook. Oh, there's also individual assessments. So I can add an individual assessment. Let's suppose Wayne really didn't like having that beginning, so he comes in for a retest. So he comes in and does fraction 2 again. He gets extending, and he does it, say, like on the 14th. So he did a retest after school. So that's now saved here for Wayne. If you go to the gradebook, he's applying plus now. His average is getting even higher because when we click on his name, latest 4, we can see that his latest 4 average is pretty high. It's not extending yet, but on average it's applying plus. Oops. Just to really emphasize this idea of controlling what the students see, if we go to grade setup and we go to student view for grades 8 to 9, say we're not going to show proficiencies, but we're going to show grade level. We change that. Go back to the gradebook, Math 8. So as a teacher, I'm still seeing what I chose earlier with letter grades and proficiency. But if you go into like the gradebook for Catherine, it's just letter grade now, not proficiency scales. And one last thing would be, I can print a gradebook report for this. So it's going to print out what this screen is seeing essentially. So if you click that, it's created a CSV file, which you open up with Excel. So I can click on that. Here we go. So that's essentially what we saw in the gradebook in that previous screen. So that is it for the gradebook. And I think you will find it pretty easy to use.